I saw you poking around in Lady Driver's lorry. She in trouble? Nah, man. I was telling you the truth. I really didn't think it'd be her. She's okay. Sort of troubled, but still, a nice person.
So that's what that emotion was before. It was wishful thinking.
It's that bad. Man, what should I do? What should I do to help her? Yeah, maybe I should just keep my head down and work on my rhymes while I can. Oh, you know, Tommy Leham's gonna be a musician. Sprechgesang, but with beats. I've got a lot of free time on the road to hone my craft.
The correct grammar is Tommy Lahom.
Tommy Lam was taken. My real name's Jerry Lafitte. Tommy's way better.
It's more him. The man taps his fingers rhythmically against his arm. Wait, there's something here, stored away in some dusty corner. It starts like...
Whoa. What else? Silent communion. That's good. Dang, that's some great shit. You came up with that yourself. No matter. It's a fine stanza. You're not so bad after all, for a cop. They're more often in the fists than rhymes, see? Let alone honesty in verse.
In a small office behind the old military hospital, hunched under the green glow of his desk light, Officer Hans Blau browses through a test print of his Futurist magazine. It's called The Futurist. The typeface on the header is too small.
Well, you've given me some hope, I guess.
You found some common ground with this man. Even impressed him. The next time you look in the mirror, though, remember those words.
Oh, hello, dear. There you are again.
Can I help you?
The man ponders his cooking utensils and gives you a little nod, acknowledging your presence. You see a heavy steel door with the cobalt. It leads to a side building, adjacent to this one. The door does not. The door is closed. Still nothing. You should punch a fucking hole in it. The murmur in your ears recedes slowly. Your breathing normalizes. That's one lucky door.
Looks like the circus left town, but the clowns are still here.
Hello again, officers. Have you come to admire my mural? Ooh, not only have you found my address, you've discovered my biggest secret. I'm a coal miner.
She does have eyes that seem to be smeared with coal.
It doesn't have to do anything at all. Nothing does. Like me. Right now, I'm doing nothing at all.
The inspiration will come to her once hell is set loose on the streets. It's too calm right now.
Yes, I keep hoping a shaft will collapse on me, but somehow it never happens. Does anyone in a city like this? Shoot, Piggy. It's what you do, isn't it?
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Yes, my eyes on the harbour have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? It doesn't really matter, and I do apologise for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like this.
One of the tall buildings overlooking the roundabout, most likely. That would give them a read on the entire quarter.
In any case, it's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation. Okay. I thank you for sharing that much with me. My employer thanks you as well. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and strawberries.
I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private military contractor as an insurance measure. They called it my security detail. They were dispatched after I relayed the Union's initial offer. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrendering. Crenel, an Oronese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, our relationship is deteriorating. They wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons, and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment. The story is, one of them, the colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbour. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenel contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow. Surely you're joking. These people are killers. My only hope is that yours provides a single, concrete suspect before they indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
The Union has over 2,000 men.
Have you ever seen a hornet invade a beehive, detective? It's not pretty.
The Serai's giant hornet, the world's 2nd largest insect, can kill 40 honeybees a minute, while a group of 30 can decimate an entire hive of 20,000 bees in less than 4 hours.
These men work in tandem using semi and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all. As I said, a bloodbath. Many bleak scenarios have already come true. Nameless, badgeless detective of the citizens' militia. All we can do is keep the rest from following suit. One single, concrete suspect delivered into civil court, and I may be able to defuse this situation. Yes, I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Rivershoal West. Not much. Their public resume is relatively good, as far as private military contractors go. I believe they were once called Downwell. They boast a long list of clients: Saint-Baptiste, Welchman-Lorenz, Eintracht. A warning sign, however. The operations concerned all take place in 3rd or 4th world countries. Guarding facilities, escort missions and such. Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the resources. If you still have access to the ICP's database, you could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though. Ah, yes, your condition. The International Collaborative Police maintains a database for these sorts of things. Perhaps you should consult it. It was just a suggestion. I have, and they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. Until they do, it's all on us.
She's being truthful. She is pressing them as hard as she can.
Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. The remaining contractors, their tribunal, it's what they believe. That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez. Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates, supposedly the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor about a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe.
You meet her soon enough, you feel.
If you mean did I see him alive, yes. But I did not know him. Lely, his service name, a nom de guerre, most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age, or gauge his facial expressions. He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent all his own. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it. Through the injury. That's all I know, I guess. I only met him once. They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbour gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
The situation at the gates is a powder keg. She says she wants to avert catastrophe, but that's where she draws the line. I call bullshit.
That would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible. I hope I can answer it better. Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob and their impatience. Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative. It's a matter of days, not weeks. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask. Of course. Excuse my hesitation before.
For about half a minute, in silence. Her mouth is relaxed. The accordion lines near her mouth vanish. The pearls of her eyes move slowly on the photo's surface.
Sorry. I was trying to see if I can read the web of interdependencies between these points. The stars. I can't. But that's how you read this story. The points themselves don't have letters, numbers, anything. Their size, location on the body, and distance from each other tells you what they represent. Close. Port cities. This is an Oranese map of the waterways, a sailor's tattoo worn by wayfarers of the Dolorian century, over 300 years ago. The sailors would mark their bodies to map their travels. The sailor's soul would use it to fly back home if they should die abroad. This is a sort of contraption to be reeled back in by. The silver cord, they would call it. Quite a few. Vredefort, the Oranese capital, traditionally stands on the right shoulder. He started somewhere near here, I think. Then he made his way to the Pretto Grande, through what I think must be the Stutz Canal, an artificial channel through the Occident. From the Pretto, he sailed to the Insulindic Ocean, first the Semines Islands, then this. Revachol. Those are the two constants. Vredefort on the shoulder, and Revachol in the heart. They started the tradition of these maps right after the discovery of Insulinde, at the dawn of the Interinsulary Age.
The old world passing by, and the new world already here.
I can't. This man was no sailor, and these are no ports. I can understand geographic fragments, but not their meaning.
Vredefort? Vredefort has a military academy. The Semines Islands saw a recent conflict. In Revachol, he was executed.
That makes sense to me. We have no more use for a map of the waterways, just like we don't need sailors the way we used to. This is what the custom would morph into on the Occident. Mercenary tattoos.
For all the boys looking for adventure, a blood spatter on the seas.
His platoon members? The other contractors. Though I do not suggest you go and show them that picture. This man was their friend and comrade.
Surely there are other people to ask about the tattoo. This is not necessary to complete the task, officer. It's a dangerous side task. Search elsewhere.
I am relieved you think so. I don't think deciphering that tattoo should come before public security. Is there anything else I can help you with? You have? And how did you like Mr. Clare? Oh, come on now. He has his uses. How else would he have stayed in power all these years? Or wait, actually, corruption. That's how he's done it. Fantastic, worm-like corruption, reaching into the bowels of the earth. Of course. I don't expect you to share anything he told you with me. I'm not a worm myself. But if you felt like passing some information, how could I stop you? Are we not human? Are we not curious to hear another person's take? It's only natural. We would only be gossiping.
Intellectually speaking, it would be quite interesting to hear what she has to say about these things.
Weird. Oh no. One of the positive things to come from the revolution is the unhindered exchange of information, you see, even when it comes to trade secrets. Which isn't to suggest our talks constitute corporate espionage. Even if they did, it would be fine. But they don't, since you logged the money as a donation, and this is clearly just gossip between friends.
The lieutenant might have, but I don't remember you logging anything as anything, Harry.
A referral, you mean? I take it this was for someone in the RCM. Don't answer that. Oh my. A real door. That's good to hear, Detective. Police work is rarely pretty, but it sounds like you did what you had to do.
Her bartering mind cannot fathom that you didn't ask anything in return.
Yes, that's the talk about town. The Hardy Boys, they're called. Find the name rather amusing, honestly. Misinformation. This is all because we haven't shared information on the lynching yet. See? Already the adversary uses it to their advantage. Don't let him. Hurry up on that probe. The moment you tell me you're finished at the traffic jam, I will gladly tell you the company's side of the story.
She must really want you to look into the drugs. Otherwise, she'd tell you. She was worried for a moment that she's overplayed her hand by not sharing info sooner. Then she settles down, curious to hear more.
How benevolent. Hopefully they'll help you sort this whole business out, if they haven't already. Oh my. Very interesting. So the militant wing is protecting one of their own?
Her mind races to the conclusion that most benefits her interests. That doesn't mean she's wrong, though.
It looks like you may untie this knot yet. I wouldn't have taken Everard for a saber rattler. Was he surrounded by Union men he wanted to impress?
No, it was more like he wanted things to get worse. In secret, of course.
Or he wants you and me to believe he wants to go to war. I'll think it over, Detective. Thank you for relaying this information to me.
This gave her pause. She's pensive, suddenly. Hard to say about what. Have I underestimated the Union's ferocity? She has to ask herself by now.
What you've said is quite enough. You've given me a lot to consider, and may have helped me prevent this conflict from escalating. Sounds like he has you running errands, Detective. A well-established dominance ritual. Where did he have you deliver it? Ah, yes. I've been meaning to go there.
With longing. Clear and simple longing. Strange. Why does she want to go there?
I should be. In my youth, I had a brief dalliance here in Martinez. He was an older man with impossibly broad shoulders. He's probably dead by now. Even his shack is long gone. Not that it matters. These buildings are all carbon copies of one another. Yes, I was slumming it with some girlfriends of mine. We had boats and... Don't hold it against me. My paramour certainly did not. Not overly so. It's not like this was the only place we visited. Me and my girlfriends from Azon with our shiny boats, like reavers. We told ourselves we were the worst thing to happen to the coast since the Coalition landed in '08. Imagine. A youth centre with Edgar Clare's statue on top of it. Go ahead. Help him. Make it so. I have no power to stop him. Yes. I'm sad I'll never have the time, Detective. I've always wanted a dilapidating fishing village.
She is more defensive about it than usual.
Full of ghosts and ancient memories. Has this errand yielded you any information? Oh. That's so helpful of him. So very, very helpful. And how is that going? Do you have any leads on that gun? Did he now? Well, then it should be any day now. Unless, of course, he's lying to you. Anyway, was there anything else you've heard?
Perhaps he is.
Of course, Detective. Should something come up later down the road, don't be afraid to drop by for a chat. Until then, is there anything I can help you with?
Give me a moment. Ask away, policeman. Some lunatic lost his mind. All kinds of morons pass through these halls.
With how small these rooms are, wouldn't you want to break the wall down?
The hell am I supposed to know? Another nut job, I assume.
She really doesn't like those nut jobs. Bad blood there. She mumbles some kind of a response. A plaster cast bust depicts a middle-aged man with impressive sideburns. The name on the plinth reads, Kraz Marzov. The bust doesn't reply. The hallway behind the door is empty. No. This door is made of metal. No one answers. Looks like he isn't home.
Trying to sneak up on me.
Logic error. She is not sleeping right now.
Pig's come to take me out. Trying to snuff me out. Then why are you sneaking up on me like that? It's not a good idea to scare me, pig. Not a good idea at all.
Just an ordinary wall. Nothing to see here. This coin-operated view
like playing in the dark. Sharpens your nocturnal instincts. Feels like being on recon again. Ah, yes! King Philip III, on his steed. A reminder of what Revachol once was.
Oh, absolutely. At the mercy of a cocaine-snorting tyrant who emptied the treasury so he could sleep on a bed of gold.
A superpower, feared and respected. A testament to what this country can be under the leadership of a true king. Someone who knows how to rule. Decisively, without fear of offending the sensibilities of the frail and weak-minded among his subjects. This is something the insurgents never understood. Revachol would be a different place if more people realized that. We could still be the...
Don't get started on that again. What happened, happened.
The carabiner doesn't reply, but his entire being communicates unbreakable resolve.
Oh, old Philip was a big fan of the purple nose candy the nobility loved so much. A cocaine connoisseur of sorts. His egocentricity is borderline legendary.
You can't even take the responsibility for yourself. How could you fathom the responsibility weighing on the shoulders of a ruler? That's why the Philippian kings use cocaine, for clarity of vision, to aid in their work. Regnum cocainum, Revachol's finest years. Philip III was even brought into this world with the help of cocaine. The court medic administered a dose to his mother when she was in labor, and it is well known that with the help of cocaine, only the purest, of course, he was able to connect with higher realms.
Higher realms. Of course, it all makes sense. He's just making excuses for the king's habits, isn't he?
It's really not. Please, do spare us the cocaine fairy tales.
Oh, you can't. That's why Philip III...
Higher, he's just making excuses for the king's habits, isn't he?
From what I've seen of the officers of the RCM... But I don't want to get into a debate about drug policies.
Oh,
you can't. That's why Philip III...
Higher realm, he's just making excuses for the king's habits, isn't he?
Please, officer, don't encourage him. Do...
Right. Yes, the Debardeurs Union pays me to stand vigil during the nights. Not out of any political allegiance, mind you. I'm an old man. Don't sleep more than a few hours every night anyway, and... money is tight.
He feels like he has to justify himself for some reason.
Yes, it does. Unfortunately, I wasn't working that night. Been on a 2-week leave since last Monday. It's a private matter. Nothing to do with your investigation.
You see, officer, René is the kind of man who'd rather die than admit he needs medical assistance or, God forbid, seek it. A real man's man is just gonna ride it out.
I'm fine, goddammit. Mind your own business. It's nothing. Just got to cut back on coffee. No one. The bus has been unmanned since last Monday. There's no other guard. It's just me. Yes. It's not actually an issue. I mean...
Look, officer. The container yard doesn't actually need a guardsman. Never had one before René. Monsieur Claire had that booth built specially for him. It's mostly decorative.
The possibility of someone being in there is enough to discourage any ill-minded individuals.
Evrard created this job for René because he knows the Royal Carabiniers' pension of honor and PTSD isn't something a man can live off. A decorated Kingsman collecting tear reflects bad on the whole neighborhood. His words.
It's not charity. Not to me. Up there, I give it all I got. I earned my keep. But you're right, officer. There is no middle ground. It's do or die.
Something about him has changed. He's calmer somehow.
She is nobody. This is none of your concern, and I refuse to discuss my private affairs with the RCM.
The lady is Jeanne-Marie Beaulieu, and she sure as hell wasn't a nobody.
Yes. Like I said, I would be up anyway, so might as well keep an eye out. It keeps my senses sharp. I like playing in the dark. Sharpens your nocturnal instincts. Feels like being on recon again.
Still, all you see is an old...
Anything else I can assist you with, officer? We still have a game to finish.
Officer, the mere sight of police in Martinez makes me feel safer already. How can I help you? Oh, sweet Jenny. She was the finest woman in all of Revachol. Maybe the entire world.
Do not defile her memory, Gaston. Let her rest in peace.
We knew her, all right. Lived on the same street our entire lives, just 2 houses apart. The 3 of us have been best friends since we were 4. She was René's first girl back when the prick was 16. They were courting till he decided he'd rather die for some great ideal than just be happy.
And then you stole her from me.
Oh, officer. It already got ugly nearly 80 years ago when the 3 of us were just learning to walk and talk.
You stole her from me.
Well, technically, you stole her from me, because we'd been pretty close ever since you two had that falling out over the ink you spilled over her pretty yellow dress.
We were just boys then. This was different. You... No point starting this all over again. For the 1000th and the first time. Especially when we have company. Officer.
She died of pneumonia 2 winters ago. It was a quiet passage, peaceful. René and I were both by her bedside when she...
Died. No use sugarcoating it. Won't bring her back, will it now?
departed. Until the very end she couldn't decide between us. The most indecisive woman I've ever met. She could never make up her mind about anything. What to have for breakfast, favorite color, or which one of us to marry. She was always leaving one of us for the other, but never long enough to actually get married. Heck, technically, we're both still engaged to her.
You always confused her. Couldn't let us be happy. Seduced her with your fancy words and pastries.
He suddenly remembers you are still there, falls silent, and turns away.
Of course, officer. Memories are all we have left. Sure, officer. They are the good guys around. Thank you, officer. Sweet, sweet Jenny. Of course, officer.
I like playing in the dark. Sharpens your nocturnal instincts. Feels like being on recon again. There's nothing for you to understand here. It is not her death you are investigating. Absolutely not. She died of pneumonia in her bed at the age of 79. This is highly usual. Reversal Fair of 91 in the Faubourg district. A parade was held to honor Guillaume Le Lion's name day, and the Carabineers marched in the place of honor. This was the happiest day of my life. I was 22 when I returned from King Guillaume's Akira operation in the south and found my sweetheart in the arms of this wretch.
The Akira operation was a 7-year campaign, during which suzerain Guillaume's army forcefully united the people in the southeastern part of La Petite Continent, collectively known as the Akira tribes, under the Revacholian banner.
I won her back, but while I was dealing with some issues.
You were like a dark cloud sucking the joy out of every living thing around you. And you hurt her.
Dark cloud. That sounds unpleasantly familiar.
Those days and memories are gone.
The old soldier says nothing, but when his glance quickly runs over Gaston's face, there's an odd look in his eyes.
Hi, Ace Detective. Are you here for more books?
Hello again, esteemed officer, and welcome to Crime.
Looking for something?
A crinkled chewing gum wrapper. The worn label reads, Tutti Frutti. It smells faintly of apricots with a barely noticeable twinge of cinnamon. You feel compelled to point out that there's nothing fruity about cinnamon. It's a spice derived from tree bark. Can a used wrapper shrug? Seems like that's what the wrapper is doing somehow. This is not about flowers or bark. What is this about? Why are you looking at this wrapper? Good question. There is no answer or secret phrase written on the inside of the wrapper, yet you're drawn to it. Drawn by regret. Stop before you hurt yourself with a Tutti Frutti wrapper. Throw it away, please. You carefully fold the wrapper into a square before putting it back into your pocket, lovingly even, despite the strange feeling of regret. You take the legal documents out of the envelope, a 12 to 40 month. In your hands, you hold 16 Days of Coldest April by Yekaterina Dahl. The cover image shows a row of concrete apartments above which span a black and white rainbow. Indeed, the book is unusually heavy in your hands, as though the cover were lined with lead. It would do that in Grad. You flip through the book. The pages are thinner than you realized, and the type quite small and tightly set. It's nearly 600 pages long. Real art is dense and difficult. If it didn't feel like you had to wrestle a suicidal bear to get through it, you weren't really reading. The back cover is dominated by a black and white photograph of the author. She can't be much older than her mid-30s in this photograph. And yet, from this cover, the eyes of a sad old woman stare back at you. In cold, detached prose, the author describes a scene from one of the Yugoslavia riots in the 20s. Youths overturned motor carriages and set trash cans ablaze, while heavily armored guardsmen dash in and disperse them in a flurry of baton blows. The Yugoslavia riots took place from 27 to 29. Fueled by ethnic unrest and the state's repressive tactics, these events are often seen as marking the end of a brief period of liberalization known as the Yugoslavia Spring. Like all such periods, it is frequently memorialized in art and literature. As ethnic tensions run wild, a pair of young lovers meet each other on the street. Somehow, in the middle of all the chaos, they manage to lock arms and look into each other's eyes. It would physically hurt you to keep reading. Are you sure? They go through a brief and somewhat awkward love affair, and in the end, they betray each other and succumb to the absurdity of Gradian life. The man becomes a lens grinder, completely abandoning his former existence. He toils through the daily drudgery at the Lenka polyfabricate. Happiness and fulfillment have eluded him his whole life. And in the end, he has nothing to do but dedicate himself to the craft. She spends the next several decades standing at a conveyor in a Sosnovo fish processing plant. The smell of fish guts slowly seeps into her hair and skin, as every single one of her dreams dies, one by one. The memory of their short time spent together tortures the former lovers ceaselessly until the end of their days. Years pass in solitude, their bodies growing ever more decrepit. As life leaves their remains between the soil sheets, their final thoughts are filled with regret. It's the ledger you found in the trash, a cabbage of papers hanging from the board, with the permeables drawn: arson, petty theft, spousal abuse. You don't exactly. It takes about half an hour to piece one. Not much has changed in the meanwhile. In the back, you see thin, translucent copier paper. Some neon yellow, some bright red, all covered in boxes, like marching armies. These look like official forms, waiting to be filled out. Then rip them from the binder and hand them out, according to type of form. 3. The topmost are misconduct fines, the middle ones are station calls, and the bottommost are field autopsy forms. Each is easy enough to make sense of. You don't have to be an intellectual giant to do police work. The rest of the stinking cellulose is This door is made of metal and appears no one answers. Looks like he isn't home. You should come back to...
Hello again, officers. You sit on the wind-worn wooden planks of the bench. Your feet ache. You finally stop picking your nose. Time passes. The sun draws ever closer to the horizon. The sky is a panorama of intense colors. The twiddling barely keeps your hands warm against the frigid wind blowing from the coast. After a while, you've had enough.
Can I help you?
The door is closed. This door can still... You should punch a fucking hole in it. The murmur in your... It's the ledger you found in the trash, a cabbage of papers hanging from the board. With the permeables drawer, it's made of dark blue plastic, hard enough to beat someone to submission with. The edges are rounded, however. The U4 size board feels thick and heavy in your hand. Light shimmers on its wet surface. On the back you see the embossed letters, RCM. Blue. The blue heart. Don't look into it. Something rattles inside, ever so lightly. Is there a hidden compartment? And something small inside, light, made of paper or cardboard, or dried flowers perhaps. Permeables. It's not hidden per se. The compartment is made for permeable materials that would get damaged if something happened to it. The plastic shimmers like lapis lazuli, but it is not see-through. You cannot see to its center. With your hands, U4-sized pages hang from the clip screwed to the top of the board. The acidic stench of rotting food is rubbed off on the cellulose. It now forms the base of the experience. This base surrounded by a faint air of spoiled meat, the stuff of death itself, and then sprinkled liberally with the citrus zest of toilet cleaner. You know, like the bits they put into public piss bowls, probably called Fermi Discrete, or Axle, or something. At some point in its journey, the ledger has seen the inside of a public toilet. If you knew it was dunked in the toilet before getting chucked into the trash, why are you sniffing it? So you wanted to get in on the trash toilet stink collab. Find out what happens when those two get funky together? Okay, pal. Your nose is somewhere between grateful and resentful. It's the ledger you found in the trash. The two sides of the board appear slightly misaligned, like a drawer that's come off its slides. If you bend the plastic on your knee, slowly, the slides snap back into place. It should be possible to just, without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each other. The compartment is now open. 2 ticket stubs and a handmade postcard. 2 octopuses are smiling, reaching their tentacles toward each other in the colored pencil drawings. The tickets permit access to the zoo in Revachol East. The aquarium costs extra. These let you go there too. Thin wax paper has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Sounds like leaves rustling when you pick it up. You see violet flowers, floral patterns, patches of glue. It smells of chewing gum, apricot flavored. Exactly like the gum wrapper you found, the same brand of chewing gum. Familiar handwriting lines the inside of the card, looped, round letters in a woman's hand. A young woman in her 20s. There is care, effort, and a smile, you think. Although that is not something you can read from someone's handwriting. Harry, it begins. You're already reading. I wanted to write you a letter so you can read it when you wake up. Maybe it will make you happy. Throw it away, please. Outside, you hear the wind howl. A sudden gale blows in from Martinez, flapping street signs and window blinds.
Come outside.
Far away and outside, the reeds hiss with desperation. Step out. It's the ledger you found in the trash. Without resistance or sound, the two panels move against each. Thin wax paper has been glued to a piece of cardboard. Sounds familiar handwriting. A young woman in Harry, throw it away, please. Your hand shakes, holding the card. Every morning when I step out and you're asleep behind me, it says, I find a little piece of sadness in me. I carry it in my chest, down Voyager Road. Every step I take, it grows. By the time I reach the fuel station, it has filled me entirely. I step onto the light rail and look back. Sparks fall from the bow collector. I know it will be like this until late afternoon, when I get off the 42 and walk back to you. You. Every step I take will get lighter. It almost makes me run. Sometimes I do. I can't believe I met you. I can't believe the happiness I feel with you. You have a vast, vast soul, and I will always, always, always come back to it. Kisses, kisses, kisses. You feel the air sucked out of your lungs and the blood sucked out of your head. Everything around you gets dark. Small white dots appear. Sparks fall like snow from the bow collector, a streetcar distancing. You feel the ledger slip from your hand. No, hold on. To what? There's nothing.
There is nothing. Again. Nothing sad, brother. No treachery, just blackout. Well, almost nothing. There is the ground below you, that's still there. And the small light that's on, fluttering, somewhere in the basal ganglia. That's me. Blue eyes, that's me. Who was what?
He speaks of the sickening longing, the unwell emotion. Even in the darkness he's grasping for it. Still trying to hold on to the great sorrows slipping in the water. Slimy. Here in the paleo-mammalian cortex we call it the shadow. Because it's always there.
Tell him.
Ah, yes. In the olfactory system, they call it the apricot chewing gum scented one. It's unhealthy of them to linger on it so. But as they say, what do you do? It didn't smell nice. It smelled like betrayal.
Your name is fuck all.
It certainly ain't Harry. Your name is passed out on the ground, dragged around by one of the other evil apes. They're taking you somewhere.
Bloated corpse of the past resurfacing.
Beautiful. Believe me, stupid ape, its lack of beauty was not the problem.
There is no Voyager Road. There are no roads, no houses, no lights in the windows. It's all on pause. Yeah, man. What was that about? You think they would let you? Until you disintegrate into biomolecules? No. Someone is breathing on your face now, inspecting your pupils, stupid idiot.
Yes, they're pouring something on you. It's in you. And
It's delicious. Glowing lights on a dashboard emerge out of nothingness. In the upholstered cabin of Lieutenant Kitsuragi's motor carriage, seated in the driver's basket, the air is thick with leatherworks and heavy fuel oil. Cold water runs down your chin.
Drink. Water. Now drink.
The water is cold, silvery, the stuff of life itself as it pours down your parched throat. The pounding in your head recedes. The darkness parts.
Drink. You haven't drunk water in 2 days. Did you know the human body is not made to survive on alcohol alone? You need a secondary form of hydration.
With greedy gulps, you down half a liter of cold water. Some of it spills on the driver's seat. The lieutenant pays no heed to it.
What happened? There was a call on the shortwave. Officer passed out in Martinez. I had a feeling it would be you. I'm glad I got here in time. I don't know. It could have been quite a while. That does sometimes happen.
He replies with such understanding, it's as if the burnt-out ruins of the past were an occupational hazard. Athlete's foot for cops.
I found this next to you. I'll tag along for the rest of the day if you don't mind. My business is concluded anyway. Are you okay to go? Good.
The Ledger of Failure and Hatred is a special item that can be used both as an interactable and a tool equipped in your held slot for skill bonuses. Find it under the Tools tab in your inventory.